Hi, and welcome back to the fundamentals of UX in games. In this part, we'll go over how UX relates to other game development disciplines. UX research and design are unique roles touching on the work of practically all other game development disciplines. As UX is a fairly new role within the games industry, every team might have slightly different way of dividing responsibilities between disciplines. Also, the size of the team will affect this division. So, how we explain the things here might not describe the lived experience of all teams out there, but it does explain really well how UX relates to different disciplines across the game teams. UX is very much a holistic, project-wide discipline that affects and riffs off of practically every other discipline working on games. Here are the ones we'll cover today. Let's start with game design. Game design defines what the player can do. That means the actions and the mechanics available in the game. It also means other things, but on a very high level, this is it. UX design, on the other hand, ensures those actions are clear, engaging, and intuitive for players. Both of these disciplines care about player motivation and behavior modeling, balancing challenge and reward, designing intuitive mechanics, and enhancing player immersion. They just might approach them from different ways and speak about them slightly differently. Accessibility design focuses on inclusivity and accommodation of all players, especially those with pronounced barriers to playing games. UX design, on the other hand, integrates accessibility features into the broader player experience, ensuring they can benefit all players. They both care about designing for diverse needs, ensuring remappable controls and readable text, among other accessibility features, and working with specialists on compliance, because there are already various laws around the world around accessibility. Then there's narrative design, which focuses on the emotional arcs and themes of the game. UX, on their part, ensures that those arcs are delivered in a way players can follow and feel them. Here, both care about the story delivery being understandable and emotionally engaging, and that the story is delivered in the right way, meaning that there is the right mix of cutscenes, environmental storytelling, overheard conversations, and other ways of delivering the story to the player. Both also care about the pacing of the narrative beats, so that the player isn't overwhelmed or bored because there's just so much story and they don't get to do anything, but also they're not starved for the story because there's just so much other stuff to do before they learn more about the world and its story. We've bundled art, animation, VFX, and everything that falls under them into one because they all create visual appeal and immersion in a game on a very, very high level. Here, UX design ensures visual elements are readable, purposeful, and guide interaction. Everyone here care about clarity of visual cues, readability of character and environment design, as well as animation timing for feedback. But they have slightly different focuses and work together to bring it all together. UX and UI design. Now, this is a couple that is usually thought to be exactly the same thing, but where UI design focuses on the visual layout and aesthetics of the menus, heads-up display, and other interfaces in the game, UX design focuses on how the players feel when interacting with those layouts, as well as where to find things navigation-wise. Both disciplines very much care about screen layout for usability, visual hierarchy and readability, iconography and labeling, and menu and heads-up display navigation, but they have, again, slightly different focuses in their approach. Audio design sets the tone and the mood in the game through sounds and music. UX design, unsurprisingly, relates to that as well because it ensures audio reinforces clarity, feedback, and usability. Again, both disciplines care about using sound for interaction feedback, audio cues for state changes and navigation, as well as avoiding overwhelming players with too many sounds and inputs. Monetization design drives revenue strategy, pure and simple. UX design doesn't necessarily say what is right or wrong ways of monetizing the game, but it wants to ensure that monetization doesn't harm player trust or experience, whatever it is. Both designers care about ensuring fair and respectful monetization. They also want to avoid deceptive design or dark patterns, which are already legislated against in some places. And they care about designing shop flows and in-app purchase systems with clarity. Data analytics tells developers what players are doing. This is done through quantitative data, aka numbers and figures. How many people clicked here? How many people opened this? How many people purchased this? How many people churned or left the game at this point? And so on and so forth. UX research, on the other hand, explains why players are doing what they're doing. This is done through qualitative insights such as interviews and observations that are harder to quantify and do math on. Both very much care about analyzing player behavior patterns, supporting hypotheses from user research, interpreting drop-off points or engagement metrics, but they have slightly different approaches. As I said, data cares about what, UX about why, when we want to divide them on a very high level. Does UX have anything to do with engineering? I mean, UX is design and research, and engineering cares about building the game's systems. But again, UX defines how those systems are experienced and interacted with, so they have to work together to create the right sort of experience. Both care very much about implementing UI logic and interaction flow. They care about control responsiveness and input systems, as well as technical feasibility of UX features. Here, they take very different approaches because UX design and research focuses on the player's experience and engineering on what's technically feasible. So they make a very powerful team when working well together. QA ensures that the game functions correctly. They get specs on how the game is supposed to work, and then they see if it actually does that. UX ensures that the game feels right and makes sense to players, so they also make a good team. Both care very much about identifying friction points and usability issues, observing playtest behavior and user errors and how to fix them, and also how to differentiate between bugs and design flaws so it's easier to understand who should fix the issue and how. UX also works very well with production. Production manages the process of making the game. UX on their part, ensures that the game is understandable, usable, and satisfying for players. Together, they work on aligning UX priorities with project timelines, scoping and resourcing UX tasks, and advocating for user testing time and iteration room. So testing is done early enough so there's time to make changes based on the findings if there is any need. UX is also very interested about localization because localization ensures that the translations read well and respect cultural nuances and that the copy fits in the space provided in the game. UX, on the other hand, ensures layouts, buttons, and user flows work well visually and logically. Both care very much about usability and clarity across different languages and cultures. You would be surprised at how many games struggle with localization because some languages require more space for text than others. But as we'll see later on, there are multiple ways to work around that. Marketing and user acquisition ensures players discover the game and form strong first impressions through trailers, ads, and App Store content. As we said, in this course, we focus on the experience player has directly with the game, so from start to finish, and not necessarily outside of that. But even when we have this definition of UX and experience, UX is still in charge of ensuring that the game experience delivers on the promises made by marketing and user acquisition and keeps players engaged from their first session. So again, these two disciplines work tightly together. Both care very much about aligning expectations with the actual experience within the game and maximizing player onboarding and retention. Customer experience and player support has a crucial role in ensuring player experience because they're the first people players can contact with their concerns and technical issues. Customer experience people need to make sure that the players feel heard and that their issues are tracked and resolved. UX, on the other hand, makes sure that those issues are anticipated and designed out of the experience whenever possible. Obviously, preferably before the game is launched and it makes it to the hands of actual players, but if and when that happens, as soon as is feasible. Both disciplines here care very much about reducing frustration, increasing satisfaction, and keeping players happy and loyal. Community management also deals with players directly, so they ensure player voices are heard and fosters an active and healthy community. UX, for their part, ensure design decisions are grounded in actual player behavior and needs. So in case of especially live service games, UX and community management need to work very tightly together. Both disciplines here care about listening to players, improving experiences, and building trust. So especially if there is an existing community that the design team can tap into, UX and community management should work tightly together to get those player insights as soon as possible. In terms of live service games, live ops or operations ensure that content is updated regularly with events, challenges, and rewards to keep players engaged. UX ensures that those systems are discoverable, understandable, and motivating without overwhelming the player. Because many live games need to add things on, there's new things happening to keep players engaged, and UX needs to make sure that the experience is balanced and engaging for experienced and returning players as well as new players. Both are focused on long-term player engagement and about creating excitement over time. Then there's IT and development operations or tools, whatever your company and team calls them, that ensure that the technical backbone, pipelines, and internal tools work efficiently and reliably. This is not very often thought about in games, especially on the player side, because it's indirectly related to the actual game. But UX also works here because UX designers can ensure that those tools are usable and that game features can be tested and iterated on quickly. Both disciplines, or in this case, all disciplines here, care about enabling smooth workflows and reducing friction in development and iteration. There's also legal or compliance. The legal team ensures that the game complies with regulations on things such as data privacy, accessibility, and platform certification. UX, on their part, ensures that compliance is implemented in user-friendly ways that don't disrupt player flow. Both care about protecting both the player and the company while maintaining a seamless experience. I hope that this has given you an understanding of and appreciation for UX. It is very much a part of every single discipline, much like quality assurance is a part of every discipline. Nobody wants to make a bad game that has bugs or doesn't feel as good as intended. But if there are people dedicated to ensuring that there are no bugs, or that the experience is seamless, it makes everyone's lives easier. And if you're working in a team with no UX folk, I hope this section has given you new ways of approaching the tasks of each discipline, and especially your own, so you can ensure that the resulting experience is the one you intend the players to have. Okay, in this module, we've worked on building a baseline understanding of what UX is. We've gone over the design thinking process and how it relates to the game design process. We've gone over some key UX concepts, as well as how this discipline relates to many others needed to creating games. In the next section, we'll summarize this entire module before moving onward to the tasks and next modules. See you there!